biggest thing for me was a place that was safe for my kids and other kids to come learn and wasn't based on telling us how to live our Christian walk. Instead, it was a place where we could come together, learn together, have community, have a class that you could go to and be with other people and learn from somebody other than me and my husband. Like, have that experience of having other parents be your teacher, other people be your teacher, but that it was safe in a place that they could also see Christ, where they saw other Christians walking their faith.
Welcome. It's the Colorado Homeschool Podcast, interviewing experts, parents, graduates, all here to help you navigate this incredible journey called homeschooling. And if you're looking for resources, tips, and help, go to CHEC.org. You'll find what you need. In the meantime, subscribe, follow along. Well, hello and welcome. Thank you for joining us. I'm your host, Kashia Davis, and today we have Tara Roehl. I just found out I was saying her name wrong, even though I have known her for some time now. Thank you, Tara, for being here. Tara is an award winner. We're going to talk about that in a second. She also is a certified speech and language pathologist. She has a business that she does telepathically on the telephone with her clients, focusing on executive function, which I love. She does some of the testing for that at the conference too. So if you haven't met Tara or you feel like you maybe need to meet her, the conference, Rocky Mountain Homeschool Conference, is coming up, is your opportunity. Tara is amazing. Not only does she do that, she's a homeschool graduate. She homeschools 2 of her children. And I guess she likes the twos. It's always in pairs, because this is actually even our second time recording this podcast because we had technical difficulties. Tara runs not 1, but 2 co-ops in the Longmont area. So she runs the Wild Child, is that what it's called? The Wild Child, yep, and the Nest Co-op. So I am thrilled to have Tara. She has become a quick friend. I mean, the first day that I met her, I knew we're going to be friends. And it's totally playing out. So I love it. And I think you guys are going to love her. Tara, welcome.
Thank you so much.
Well, why don't you start off by just telling us a little bit about your homeschool journey, maybe just summarize your life as a homeschool student and then how it looks for you as a mom now.
Yeah, my parents started homeschooling us. I'm the oldest of 3. Homeschooling was never the plan. I love to tell the funny quip that my mother actually got in a disagreement with the public school district that we were living in.
No.
And I believe the final closing statement was, well, I taught her how to read. I guess I'll teach her everything else too. And then me and my siblings were homeschooled all the way until college.
Wow.
I started college at 16. Went on to become a speech-language pathologist. Met my husband while I was in grad school. Before we were even dating, the weekend we met, he was just like, so tell me about you. And I was like, well, I'm a homeschool graduate. I'm going to become a speech-language pathologist, and I'm going to homeschool my own kids one day.
I love that you knew that. That's amazing. And he was like into it, obviously.
He's like, fair warning. Okay, great. Got it.
That's awesome. I love that. There's not a lot of middle ground. I find people who've already been homeschooled are a lot like you. Very, very passionate and like, me too. We're going to do this and make sure my spouse is in agreement. This is so awesome. So I love that. And one of these days, I hope that I get to interview your parents, because they're kind of pioneers in the homeschool journey, just to talk about their fight for their freedom. And that's one of the ways that I get to see Tara. She's going to be at our day at the Capitol. She's helping put that on. And she and her family have been involved in all of the things from the Freedom Front. So thank you for that too. And not
Absolutely.
that you don't have anything to do with your time. You're so busy. Good night. Well, we're talking today about community. So I mentioned you're an award winner. Tara last year won one of our awards that we give out every year. In fact, the nominations are going on right now. We asked the community to nominate a homeschool group leader that has impacted their life. So it's a leadership award that we present totally from the people, by the people, for the people. And when I was reading the comments about you, I should have actually printed those out to read here, but it was just like resonated to be true. Tara is not just about serving her community, her 2 co-ops that she does, but really about serving the homeschool community by and large. So she's a great person to talk to us as we dive into the importance of community. So why don't we start there and tell me what started you in the leadership of homeschooling groups? And yeah, we'll go from there. How did that all begin for you?
I went through a lot of different homeschool communities growing up. We moved a lot for my dad's work. And so I've been in a lot of different homeschool communities, lots of different experiences between the different communities. So I had a general idea of what I was looking for, but also having moved a lot in my life, I know it can take a while to start community. So as soon as my son was one, I started looking for a community because it was like the sooner I can get plugged in, the sooner I can find my people, I can find my tribe. Let's do this. And I looked everywhere
One,
in my area.
one, 1 years old. That's amazing. I love that. You
Yes, and
are
that little
not
man
messing
just
around.
turned 12 on me a few months ago. So it's been a journey in here, and I couldn't find what I was looking for. I kept promising my husband because my husband's an entrepreneur, my father's an entrepreneur. We're an entrepreneur at heart people, but I was like, don't worry, I'm not going to start my own co-op. I will find what I need. And everywhere wanted me to drop my little guy off. And every part of my journey, I knew very clearly I wanted to be there. I wanted to get to know the other parents. I wanted to find friends who had become what we call family, and I needed to find
Yes.
that. And I couldn't find it. So the nest started in my living room. It started with just inviting other moms over with other 18-month to 2-year olds and mail ordered a little cute, unit study themed curriculum. And we did that. And we expanded off my main floor. We ended up taking over my entire basement, breaking my basement into multiple classrooms. And then my husband and I had to have a sit down of like, we've grown out of the house and we are like wearing out the house at this point in time with this many people coming in each week. And the church we were attending at that time, some of the pastors had grown up being homeschooled themselves too. And so they offered up that church building for us. And we've been there ever since. And then I wanted my kids to experience, I'd heard all the benefits and read all the research of time in nature and how the average American child spends less than 10 minutes in nature a day. And that hurt my heart as a hiking family. And so I was like, okay, well, let's go join a forest school. That was expensive for 1 year. And my mom had come and visited and, come with. And towards the end of it, she leaned in and was like, you could do this.
I knew that was coming.
And
Yes.
so the nest was born out of my living room, and Wild Child was born out of 1 year of
Hiking.
experience in forest school, and then just
Nice.
deep diving into every curriculum, every online course, every YouTube video I could find to really try to understand the methodology and the purposes and create something that would be great for my kids, but also help find other families who share the same values and desires.
I'm not hoping that every person who listens to this says, well, I can't find a group, so I'm going to start a group. Of course, we need that. We need people who are willing to start groups. I think the network of homeschool groups is growing, so there's a lot. So first, before we start into like, what do you suggest for starting? How about what do you suggest for looking for a community? What are some of your tips as you were looking? I mean, you already mentioned a couple things like you knew I don't want to drop off my children. I want to be involved. I want to have that time because I'm selfish. Me too. I wanted that time with my kids because it's fleeting. I can tell you it goes quick. But what other things did you consider and did you have a process? Yeah, tell us about that. I know that was a while ago because you've started pretty soon.
I've been involved in a lot of co-ops myself that broke up, that had problems and had splits and had divides, and I've seen how painful that is. And we haven't been saved that. We had a very ugly divide in 2019 that happened, but it happened over the very one thing I was trying to protect us against, which is for me, I needed my children to go to a place where I felt they were safe to learn, safe in that they were safe from being exposed to things too early. They were it aligned with our faith. And I don't expect every person in my co-op to share every single thing I believe to the T. We don't. We have some families who celebrate no holidays at all. We have some families who trick or treat and others who don't trick or treat on Halloween. And so the biggest thing for me was a place that was safe for my kids and other kids to come learn and wasn't based on telling us how to live our Christian walk. Instead, it was
Mm.
a place where we could come together, learn together, have community, have a class that you could go to and be with other people and learn from somebody other than me and my husband. Like, have that experience of having other parents be your teacher other people be your teacher, but that it was safe in a place that they could also see Christ, where they saw other Christians walking their faith. That I know that my son's 12. We're heading into the teenage years. I know that right now he is surrounded by adults that I would 100% trust. That if he didn't want to ask mom the question, he could go ask Crystal, Michelle, Katie, etc. That's the question. Like, I don't want to talk to my mom about this. Talked about it. I trust their answer to my child. And I
And that
wanted that
matters.
too.
Yeah.
And community doesn't just accidentally happen. It has to be so intentional, especially in today's day and age when everyone's not sitting in the front lawn before dinner and everyone's not sharing the cup of sugar anymore. You have to be so intentional in building it. And so a big part of the Nest and then Wild Child and now the 4-H club that I'm also co-leading
Oh
was
my
building
gosh.
a building community, and it's waned and it's changed and people come and people have left, but we've started to really build up this core group of people who are like our ride or die group, who, when my dad was in the hospital, when my grandparents passed away, they were the ones dropping the dinners on the doorsteps. They were the one who took the key and took my kids from me at the Nest when I had to race out to take my dad to the
Yeah.
hospital. Like, they were there to do that
Yeah.
because we've put all this time and attention. So it's finding a place that you consider safe, knowing what your goals are in your homeschool journey for your kids, what exposure you want them to have, what experiences you want them to have, and finding a place or building a place that will give them those experiences. But also, it's so popular. And Kasia, I know you and I have talked about this a lot, the drop off programs, and I get it. As a working mom who's also running co-ops, like, alone time is so little
Yes.
and so fleeting all the
That's why we have
time.
locks on our bathroom door.
Yes, exactly, the earbuds during the dishes, like vacation. No, not at all. But for us, I've chosen that that's where I want my community because there are people who understand homeschooling. There are people who
Yeah.
understand that in February, you don't buy new curriculum. Everyone wants to throw out curriculum in February and buy the new stuff because we are burnt out. We're done. We're over it. Nothing's working. But we can all be there and be like, we agreed. No curriculum bought in February. Just keep going. The finish line is in sight. We're
You're
almost.
saying all the things that I say all the time, Tara, because the first thing I tell new homeschool families is that they want to know what curriculum to buy, what program to join. Those are the first questions, but I go, no, no, no. You have to start with your why. Why are you homeschooling? What is your vision? Write that out. Think about it. And then the second thing is you've got to find your people because you need people that are going to remind you what you already know. Right? They're going to be iron sharpening iron. They're going to encourage you. So when you do want to quit or say, this is not working, let's scrap it all, they can speak some sanity into your mind, right? But that doesn't, and what did you say? Community doesn't happen by accident. So good. And we need to hear that. Sometimes a hard thing is worth digging in, working through. So you mentioned already a couple of perks of the community that they would come. And so can you, I met not my very best maybe, but one of my best friends, I met them at the very first co-op I ever did with, preschool students. And it was 4 or 5 families getting together and they just came out for my 50th birthday. So we've been friends for a long time. And it's been so enriching, but it didn't happen by accident, right? So what are some of the perks that you have seen? You mentioned a pain, but what are some of the blessings beside just the meal or the...
I'm just surrounded by such amazing men and women because we do allow homeschooling dads to come to our co-op, which is hard
Amen.
to find in our area. Most of the other co-ops don't allow the fathers to come. And so we do. And we just finished up an entire unit on Isaac Newton. So our field trip is this coming Monday. We just finished up this past Monday. And one of our dads took on our STEM class and I've got these pictures of just watching my young ladies, but also my young gentlemen, just watching with rapt attention as this dad took over the gym, like left the classroom, took over the gym, had all these versions of paper airplanes that talk about force and motion and all this thing. And he's chucking airplanes down the gym and like eyes are sparkling and stuff, and we've had dads teach our PE. Some of the dads have signed up to teach the PE class. And let me tell you, they teach PE a lot different than us moms often teach PE.
They're like, quit your
Having to do different
crying. There's no
experiences.
crying in baseball.
Exactly. Like, are we really whacking each other at bats? All right, cool. I'm going to just walk out. keep load my car. But I've seen just, I've got people who have these advanced degrees in literature, and I've seen people who have um, multiple years of military experience and multiple degrees, and just these really cool, unique perspectives that I would have never had, that I would have never gone with my kids. We have one mom who is an absolute skilled artist whose degree is in fashion design. And when she takes over art class, like the things the kids are able to, because she knows how to show them and she knows how to teach it. She knows how to have that passion. So it's like God has given me all of these tools to teach my kids and to love my kids and love my family. And He's also given me these amazing people who
Right.
take the areas that I'm not skilled in, that were not my gifts, that are not my gifting. And my kids get to benefit so much from these other giftings. My daughter is an American Heritage Girls, and she needed to ask a dental hygienist a question and a veteran a question for some of her badges. And man, she was like, okay, well, I'll just do it at the nest, because she knew exactly who filled our spots. She's got this really diverse community
Yeah.
with
I
amazing
love that.
stories.
I love that. It makes me think of, I think it's First Corinthians chapter 12, where it talks about the body, the varying body, the toe, the eye, this is totally Kasia's paraphrase, but just how unique and gifted the body all together is, but you can't just have the eye. And do you see that? I feel like this is one of the things I warn families against is don't just look for a group of eyeballs, just to use that analogy, right? Like to embrace a little bit of diversity. So, do you have any tips on how you've done that with your group?
For us personally, like I said, we had pains along the way. It was a lot of growing. It was a lot of learning what we're looking for. Everyone laughs when they read like my code of conduct, my rules, because they're like, we feel like there's a story behind everyone. And I'm like, there is. Um, but it's been finding like what balance. And it's also finding like what you can do and what you can, I don't know if I necessarily like the word tolerate, but like I don't need everyone to believe our faith statement. I need everyone to agree to not teach against our faith statement when you're within the nest. I don't need everyone to be avid hikers and not afraid of snakes. Spoiler alert, I'm terrified of snakes. To be a part of Wild Child. I am still at Wild Child. I am still touching snakes with the kids. I am still, where I need you to be willing to come together and be community. I need, for the nest, dinners are dropped off on doorsteps anytime someone's sick. Everyone is celebrating the new baby that was just born 2 weeks ago within our community. People have mourned losses. Like it is more than just what our kids get on Mondays. It is where can we build that community, and who do we have outside? I don't need everybody to be my best friend. I don't need everybody to agree with me politically. I don't need everyone to believe 100% me biblically. That's not what I need. But what I need is a safe place for my kids to learn and a place where we can come together and really establishing that expectation that we're community. So in addition to Monday nights, we'll have parent nights out. We will have mom book clubs. We will have things to make sure that our community is staying connected, because guess what? On Monday mornings, sometimes it's
It's
a
work.
fly-by, caffeine in your hand, morning, as you're like racing to your class. So do we also have that time to like really know each other as human beings and know each other's spouses who we don't necessarily all see on a Monday morning, and continue to build that community? Because I can't do it by myself.
Yes,
Finding the
that was going to
people
be
who
my
are.
next question is what strategies do you have to really strengthen a community? I have, like you, I feel like there are those people who are just, I don't know, I'm a cheerleader and I'm like, do this with me. Come on, it'll be great. Come on. And not everybody resonates with that, right? Sometimes they go, whoa, you are way too much. And they have to find their own tribe, their own community. That's okay. But what are some strategies for how you do create that where there is knowing each other's families and there is a willingness to drop a meal and celebrate a baby? And is it just time, or do you have some more specific tactics that you're doing?
I am really upfront and honest when a family voices interests in either of the communities as to how the community runs, what the community looks like. Before anybody can join either community, they have to come to a regular day of our community to actually see and experience what that looks like, kind of experience the magic, as I like to put it. But I also give everyone who shows any interest a list of all the co ops in our area. Because the biggest thing I found is that if I have a scarcity mindset of that I'm not gonna have enough families to run next year or whatever, and I'm just trying to grab everybody into my co-op, we're all not gonna be happy because we might not be the right fit for you.
Boy,
We're not
Tara, that's
breaking
kind of profound.
for
That
everybody.
is.
And getting them to go visit all the co-ops in the area and very much encouraging them to please, like, find the one that works for what your homeschooling journey is. And if that's not
Right.
us, I wish you the absolute best.
Yeah.
But really encouraging that of looking
Hmm.
all over, finding what's gonna work for your family, because guess what? If we're gonna work for your family, and if we're what you really, truly want, then you're gonna wanna be a part of the community. You're gonna wanna roll up the sleeves. You're gonna want a hand in the magic. And finding those people who are really ready to stand by me when the entire field trip gets canceled, like it did 2 months ago on us, and are going, "You need me to dress up as a janitor? Okay, how's this? Do I look like a janitor? I'm ready. Let's play this mystery game. All right, let's do it." Like, are willing, who have the same goals, who have the same motivations,
Right.
the same. We are
Right.
not going to disappoint the kids. We will put the pencils in our hair and carry a mop around, and we're going to Goodwill, shooting pictures back and forth of like, would this hat work for my character or this hat? We're willing to dive in, jump in, do whatever it takes to make sure that the magic's happening for the kids, and filling our own cups in the process by
Mm.
standing in the corner while they're doing STEM tables going, "How's your Monday?" "It's Monday." "Oh, mine too. Need more coffee?" You know, and continuing to
Yes.
keep going forward, and keeping the communication lines open, really
Yeah.
establishing an expectation that we communicate. We have a band. We use band because many families give up Facebook for Lent. So we switched to a different app that people don't give up for Lent, but
So we should post that because that is a common app that I've heard about. So maybe I'll put that in the show notes. So it's basically for those of you who have no idea what she's talking about. You're like, oh, do you guys have like drums and flutes? And what do you mean by band? No, this is an app like Facebook, right? It's kind of a group chat
mhm.
app.
It's got a page for posting, it's got a place to post albums, it's got a place to post, things on the calendar that'll send everybody reminders that people can RSVP, people can sign up. So for each cycle for us, families sign up to teach different things. That goes up and everyone can just click the button and they've signed up for whatever they need to sign up for. And so but then it's got private chatting in there. But the expectation very much is share whatever. So people share a cool field trip they kept coming up. We've shared about the day at the Capitol coming up. We share, hey, we heard from so and so at the Capitol, and these representatives could really use some encouragement. Who wants to write some letters? And families will sit down and write some letters. Or, hey, this mom, the baby's here. Everyone's safe. Here's the meal train. And everybody can jump up on the meal train. Like it's a closed space that we can all just communicate on everything nest related, or everything wild child related, or everything 4-H related.
Yeah. It's so funny because say it's totally the tool of Satan to take something God intends to be great and twist it and perverse it. So politically, you've heard, I've seen The Village and I don't want them raising my children. Like, I don't want The Village raising my children either. I want to be involved. We're advocating parents involved, parents directly running their discipleship. But community, which has been perverted and twisted by Satan is so vital for healthy Christian fellowship, right? For you to be able to stir one another on towards good works and for you to be able to bear one another's burdens. The only way that happens is by having time together. So you mentioned, and I thought you were going to go there when I said, what other strategies? You live way up in Boulder in Longmont. Well, actually, do you live in Longmont? That's just where your group is.
My group's in
You live,
Longmont because the town I live in is too small
yeah,
to host us anywhere.
that's what I thought.
I'm
You're
right
off of
over
the
the line
corridor.
in
Yeah.
Firestone, but I'm really close to Longmont.
Yes. Yeah. Still north, very, very north.
Yeah.
And you have an annual trip down to the Great Wolf Lodge. That's a
Yeah.
great example of some fun. It's not related to the homeschooling. It's just a community event. And I'm sure that's when there's lots of real conversations, right? Y'all are watching the kids sitting beside each other or standing in the wade pool still.
No, it really
Right?
is. Like we try to do a lot of that. We have an end of year big camping trip that we take
Oh,
every year where we
fun.
all go camping for 2 nights together. And there's sightseeing and there's museums and there's forts and stuff that we're taking the kids to. We try to relate the camping trip to what we studied over the year. But it's a time for put the kids, the kids are running around like chaos, and we're all sitting at the fire sipping tea and just getting to know each other more. Yeah, we start every year with a Great Wolf Lodge trip. We get a discount because we go once all the public schoolers are back in school, and we all go again. It was really fun is that my mom comes, and so she is the co-op nana.
Oh,
And so she
so
comes, and
fun.
half of us are ding dong ditched because everyone wants to ride the water slides with Nana, and everyone wants to go on the way with Nana, and everyone wants to run around and play the Magic Quest with Nana and stuff like that. And so the pictures we have is like all of us moms, we've got all our chairs just turned in a circle. So we've all got a line of sight in a different direction. And they're
Uh-huh.
like, "Has anybody seen my kid?" "Yep, I just saw him go back to the water slides," kind of thing. But therefore, we're chatting and we're decompressing, and it's the beginning of the school year.
Mhm.
What's your plans? What curriculum have you switched to? Did you find a good writing program you liked? Having all
Yeah.
those real world examples to the point where it's like families don't finish planning their summer vacations till we know when Great Wolf Lodge is, because it's now annual traditions for so many families that, of course, we're going to go. We're all going to order pizzas one night and sit together at the picnic tables in pajamas and just
So
enjoy
your son
time.
just turned 12. Does that mean the nest has been running for 11 years?
This is year 10. So
Okay.
the first year I joined a group that I thought was a co-op, but it was actually all the kids just missed the cutoff for the preschool for the public school. So I thought I joined a co-op, and then I found out I didn't join a co-op, but I took it over from that point and then ran the nest. So yeah, this is year 10. This is the 10th birthday for the nest and the 7th birthday for Wild Child.
And how do you go about sharing the burden of the work?
Yeah. That has taken time because, you know, there's sharing the burden, and there's building trust that people actually pick up the burden when you share it or want to bear that burden. Um, so it's building trust. It's seeing gifts inside of the people in my community, like where their giftings are and where their maybe energy levels are, like who's running at my pace and who needs a bit of a slower pace just for their lifestyle, just for who they are and who God's made them to be. Find those people and then appropriately like, kind of divvying it up. I have one friend who I could literally hand over the yearbook to. And every year she goes, "Do you want involved? Do you want me to tell you what I'm doing?" I'm like,
Nope,
"No,
it's yours.
I have it. Run." And we have
Yes.
a beautiful yearbook at the end of every
Oh,
year. And then
nice.
she waits till summer. She gets them all ordered. We have a midsummer get together at the splash pad where all the kids get to sign each other's yearbooks and
Oh
exchange
my
their
gosh, that's
yearbooks. And,
adorable.
I have other people. I have another mom who's done a fantastic job taking over the Christmas play where I don't have to think. I don't have to worry about it. It is off my shoulders. Here you go. It's yours.
Yeah.
Run with it.
Well, it's like you have to become a student too, right? Like you are stopping and paying attention to who's in your group and looking at their strengths and their abilities. And then you have to evaluate, well, could they, like you mentioned, a few people just teaching, the artist who is the fashion designer and the STEM teacher, noticing those giftings that oftentimes I feel like we don't do, maybe because we're not organized enough or we're threatened. I don't know, but there's so much beauty in embracing other people's strengths when it's your weakness, right?
And realizing that they're not going to do it the way you want it, and they're not going to do it
Right.
exactly right. And so much beauty and growth happen because your way isn't necessarily the only way. And I can sit at it and look at and somebody send me their plan, and I could be like, "Okay, all right." And then come out the next week, my kids come out and they're like, "That was my
It
favorite
was so
class today. Guess
good.
what we did?" And I'm like,
Yeah.
"Wow, I didn't see that coming." And that's a learning curve for me, and the parents going, "I just don't know where I'm going to teach this year." And being able to sit there and be like, "You know where I think you would be fantastic this year is I know we've got this book coming up in January. And I have seen you teach this class in the past and this class in the past. And I can only imagine what you would do with that class there. Okay, let me start thinking on that one. Like, let me, get their heads around because it's also speaking life and hope and encouragement into other people too of like I see this in you because I know I don't always see things in me. I can be my world's worst critic most days, and for people to be like, "Hey, I see this in you." You handed me that paper when you handed me that award with all the things that people in my co-op said about me. It was
I
like,
know they were
"They
so
see
good.
this." I see
Yeah.
a hot mess express who really had clean feet and got there on time. And, this is what they're seeing, and
Yeah.
seeing that in other people because yes, running the nest Mondays are exhausting. Wednesdays are exhausting. And they're so fulfilling at the same. It's a good tired
Yes.
because I've talked to people and I've hugged people and kids have run up and given me hugs or dropped little presents into my hand. And I made
Yeah.
this teacher Tara, and to see an empty youth room become full of life and then they be swept and torn back down again and be empty again, ready for the next group using that space. Like there's so
I
much
love it.
beauty
I
in the
love it, Tara. But I want to pivot a little bit because I imagine there's some listeners going, I am never going to be Tara. Rail, let me say it right. I'm not going to run a couple of co-ops. I just want to find a co-op like what Tara has. So how do you just put yourself in that? I'm not really ready to pick it up. Maybe how can you get involved in the co-op you're already in to start to utilize some of your gifts with some suggestions? Do you have any advice on that, or have you seen that work well?
I think, especially as homeschool parents, we serve our families a ton. And so I think
Mm-hmm.
it is easy if we're not careful, and myself included, I've been guilty of this, to step into things and quickly become just a consumer. And
Mm.
instead, stepping in and
Ooh, that's a
I don't get in, all
challenge.
the jobs are taken. I promise every role that is absolutely needed in the co-op isn't taken. And I'm not saying
Mm-hmm.
you have to take over the accounting or you have to join the board or, you have to take over scheduling or like
Mm-hmm.
even just being the person who makes sure that every single person walks through that door gets a hello and that somebody knows their name.
Right.
It's so
That's
important
vital.
for a kid to know
Yeah.
that their name is known by an adult.
Mm-hmm.
That's really, really important. And to see
Yeah.
their gifts and to notice we got a little boy who recently switched to fancy clothes, and if you notice his bow tie on a Monday morning, like it makes his day that you noticed his bow tie, or the time I posted on the band that, hey, my daughter worked really hard to collect this certain set of stuffed animals, but nobody knows what they are. It was really obscure, and to watch her walk into co-op and everyone go, you got the honey girls. You got all of them. And just to see her face light up of like, this is important to me and other adults
Yeah.
see this
Yeah.
importance. Like to be the one who notices the moms who are coming in and this Monday is Monday or this Friday is Fridaying at full strength right now and being the one to be like, "Oh, let me take the toddler out of your arms," or, "Let me carry that box in for you." Even just being the one who is in the background, but being the one serving in that way, like, it's really taking a hard look at what are my gifts? And your gifts don't have to be accounting, they don't have to be teaching, they don't have to be planning and scheduling or running or, CEOing this whole circus with all of your lovely, lovely monkeys. It can be like, you know what? My gifting is, you know what? Is it okay if I bring a couple thermoses of tea? I noticed a couple of the moms are running in and they're tired. Like, can I just put some thermos of tea so moms can pour some tea? It's seeing a need where you're like, hey, I can do
I
that.
can meet that need.
I
Yeah.
can meet these needs. And that connects you then to the community,
Yeah.
that connects you to the body.
Yeah.
And rather than sitting outside and consuming everything from the co-op, where is my skill set that
Mm-hmm.
could truly be a lifeline?
Yeah. I love it. So we're running up on our time, but you're saying all the things I feel like I say all the time. We're here for such a time as this. Engage in where God has placed you. It's not an accident. These are not your children by mistake. This is who he's placed you with in this culture, in this geographic region, whatever, right? And there is beauty in that when you just go, okay, Lord, how can I be active in what you're asking me to do? And also there's peace in that because we're talking about doing a lot of stuff, but we should never do any of it. And if the Lord's not saying step, right? Go and do and just walk in obedience, and there's absolute liberation in that. So Tara, you're making me wish I had little kids and I could come up and join the nest, because I was that kind of a homeschool group run just like that. We had all these random activities and games and try to pull in all these fun resources. So, I love homeschooling. It was so much fun. Thank you. But as we close, we're asking all of our homeschool families to share one of their best homeschool tips. It could be related to community or whatever. It doesn't have to be what we're talking about. Do you have like one nugget that somebody shared with you? Maybe it was your mom, as she was a homeschool mom. It
I,
was from your mom.
I always share my favorite nugget from my mom, which was I think
Oh, nice.
I heard her encourage so many people with that, and I watch her still encourage so many people at my co-op with it as
Mm-hmm.
well, which is I taught my kids the most important things. I didn't teach them everything. I taught them the most important things, and that was to love learning and how to
Mm-hmm.
read, write, and do math. She goes, beyond that, we may have missed things in history. We may have missed things in science. We may have not read every single classic in the library, but
Right.
my kids got to launch into life knowing how they learn, loving
Mm-hmm.
learning, knowing how to find the information if they wanted it, and having the skills they need just to choose which
Mm-hmm.
path they're on and own their own learning journey. She
I
goes,
love it.
she felt it was so much on her at the beginning, and she goes, nope, I just need to give you the tools and what you learn is
Mm-hmm.
you and what you choose to
Oh, amen. So speaking, I mean, kind of ties into what you said, right? Don't be a consumer, be a doer. Just do it. So, well, thank you, Tara. I'm going to link your business. We'll link what else did I say? We're going to link whatever. I'll make sure all the links are in the podcast below in the show notes. So thank you so much for joining us. Thanks to the audience for being here with us, and we'll see you next time. Thank you so much for joining us today. The Colorado Homeschool Podcast is a ministry of Christian Home Educators of Colorado. We have been motivating parents to disciple the next generation by embracing home discipleship that is Christ-centered, parent-directed, and free from government control. We invite you to join us in this mission. If you want to support homeschooling in Colorado, go to chec.org/donate. In the meantime, share this with your friends and make sure you subscribe. That really helps us. Thank you.
Brought to you by thepodcastupload.com, empowering faith-driven voices.